Hello everyone and welcome to GSL Code A, the very last group of the season. Artosis and Wolf here to cast it, and it is a really good group actually.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's going to be really interesting to see who gets out because there's a lot of favorites. Leenock is a favorite, right? Yeah. Fantasy is a favorite. And I feel like MyuNgSiK is kind of an up-and-comer that a lot of Protoss players really look up to because he plays a unique Phoenix-oriented style. So
yeah. He's a lot of fun and very good. He's innovated a lot of powerful strategies for Protoss. Will he be able to do that today? We don't know. And then there, of course, there is someone who caps his idea as if it's emotion. Yeah. But I'm sure that it's emotion. Like it has to be. Like he wasn't like, I need to be called E-motion.
Well, he might be just like the motion that he's going through, like in his games, but he's like doing it on the internet, so it's E-motion.
I guess
like
actually, you made it much more likely just now that that is the case, but I think it's emotion. I don't know. We'll see what comes out of our mouths when we're talking.
We'll see. I mean, we'll probably use both variations. Yeah. I would guess.
Why not?
So let's take a look at this group. I mean, before that, actually, let's take a look at Group K's results. We had Trap and Symbol getting out of the group. Symbol eking out that final win against Billy. Really well played. Lost the first series, but came back in the second one.
Yeah, Trap was looking very good as well. Don't really have any complaints about his play.
No.
So it was a pretty good group. Pretty much worth watching. Wasn't the best group yet, but wasn't the worst by any means.
No, definitely not.
I think this is going to be one of the best groups, though.
I think so. I mean, at least for hype and excitement factor, because you have MyuNgSiK, a character who's different from everybody else. Fantasy, who's a big fan favorite, a good Terran from StarCraft 1. Leenock, one of our kings from the very beginning of StarCraft 2. And then Emotion, our player that comes out here last as just a new up-and-comer who's trying to prove himself.
Good luck to him against the likes of these three giants. It's going to be a tough one, man.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be easy.
Now look, let's talk about this first match, MyuNgSiK against Fantasy. I don't know if I should call him MyuNgSiK or MyuNgSiK, because you can make more jokes with MyuNgSiK, but MyuNgSiK, I think, is how his name is actually said.
That's why I call him MyuNgSiK. Yeah.
Oh well.
You can call him whichever you want, but I'll probably be doing Shik because that's how I think about it in my brain.
No, me too, but I try to switch over to MyuNgSiK.
That's probably his name, actually. I never actually looked up his Korean name, but I'm like...
I'd be very surprised if it's not.
I mean, yeah, there it is, MyuNgSiK.
All right, so first game going to be here on Frost. Now, you guys probably know who Fantasy is. He's one of the top 5 StarCraft 1 players of all time. He was known as the Terrorist Terran, one of the greatest harassers there ever was. His micro is second to none. He's known for not leaving games when he's dead. It's because sometimes he comes back because he's so good at controlling, he's so good at weird situations. The guy is a brilliant genius in StarCraft 1, and he's actually very good at StarCraft 2. Like, he qualified for the global tournament that's happening after this, and he's done pretty well overall, but not as well as you would hope.
Well, let's see how well he does against this Phoenix Protoss. Going into our very first best of 3 at our very last group of the GSL.
In the top left, one of my favorite Protosses, and I think he's going to be one of yours. He is...
MyuNgSiK.
Chewing some gum. Chewing very
one of our gum chewers, as Tasis would say.
Down here opposite
Fantasy
spawns.
All right.
He is not chewing any gum.
No, he would never chew gum. He's Fantasy. Come on. All right, so a few things about MyuNgSiK. You keep saying Phoenixes, and the reason that is because this guy made a build that was actually, I think it was like really showcased during some important Intel Extreme Masters qualifiers. If I do recall, that's where it like popped up first. And
I saw him do it once in Pro League. That was the first time I saw it.
Okay. He definitely did it against, I believe it was Hyun on, God, was it Newkirk Precinct? The coolest, like, take a quick third base, 3 Stargate Phoenix, flying with 12 of them in a handful of gateway units and kill your opponent. Really cool stuff. He's done a lot of cool, innovative heavy Phoenix style play and Stargate-based play against Zerg. But what a lot of people forget is that during some qualifier sets and some various matches, this guy showed some of the strongest PvT that we've seen as well, and that was based off of High Templars with a Colossus Ball, and what he would do, like something that I feel like he actually he's not necessarily like the first person that ever did something like this, but like he makes a pylon back behind when he's attacking into Terran, and has a ton of High Templars there. He takes 2 at a time up to the Terran army. He attacks the Terran army with his Colossus ball, full of all sorts of Protoss units, and then kind of falls back with the 2 High Templars he has, so that he can't be overwhelmed by ghosts at any point. And he runs back, and he keeps doing this, bringing 2 High Templars up at a time, and he whittles Terrans down. It's like this fantastic, amazing play that he kind of somewhat invented last year, and it's like a really powerful way to engage a Terran over the long term with High Templars. So. Really, just a strong player in those 2 matchups for sure. His PvP I haven't seen as much, though.
Yeah, we just haven't seen that much of it, coincidentally, despite the fact that he's been sent out in Pro League a few times. You know, Fantasy did, I just looked at that little results page down there at the bottom that showed up for a second. It looks like he beat actually Killer on his way here, so that's just somewhat notable.
Somewhat.
And, you know, Fantasy's a player who, like Flash, has a great Brood War history, one of the strongest contemporary Terrans. If it comes to, like, Terran rivals, I would say that Fantasy and Flash were rivals in a sense for, like, you know, Terran pride. And Fantasy was the last, he was in the last OSL finals. He
That's
lost.
Right. Lost to Zhongbi.
He was the last Terran finalist.
He and Zhongbi, like, that was, what a fitting end to Brood War that truly was. Like, seriously. The Zhongbi also one of the top players ever, top 6 players ever with Fantasy. Well, but you know, they were like the 2 you didn't think about as much because they were for sure 5th and 6th.
So at this point, like, I mean, he's gonna go over here and he's gonna scout the Phoenix, or rather the Oracle. It's probably gonna start. Oh. And I was gonna say is he
gets in.
He will probably, because he's MyuNgSiK, go Phoenixes after this to control drops, and then maybe go into Phoenix Colossi because he's done that quite a bit.
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility. You know, when you're good at a style like that, your opponent may not have played against it as much, and I think going for Phoenixes is just a straight-up smart move against Fantasy because he's so harass-oriented, he's so harass-based that he is going to be trying to drop you nonstop, and if he can't drop you nonstop, that is actually going to mess with him a little bit. So to have really strong anti-drop units is actually quite helpful.
Yeah. I mean, that's the reason why he gets it. And then sometimes he will go into a heavy Phoenix composition with his Colossi because, you know, Phoenixes help deal with the Vikings. So when you shoot those out of the air, then the Colossi have free reign against the bio. But that style it had its time back in Wings of Liberty. I saw a lot of foreign Protosses actually doing that. I think like IEM New York, it was like all we were seeing versus Terran. But that was a long, long time. It was like 2010 or something. But it got figured out. Players figured out they make more Vikings, or if you just if they have too many Phoenixes, then your Bioforce is just too strong for the Colossi anyways. All right, he's going to get this SCV. Maybe a second one, not that one. Nope. Actually, might even lose this.
Not able to get too much done here yet. But as long as he keeps it alive, it's going to have opportunities to kill more in the future. Now, of course, MyuNgSiK is going up into Colossus-based play. We'll see if he goes for some Phoenixes or not.
Kill this Marine. Never fight an Oracle by yourself. Yeah. So he's just going to hover around here. He just keeps saying that one Marine down to check to see if a push is coming, I guess, and every time he's going to get killed by that Oracle.
He also wouldn't mind for the Oracle to turn back on the beam, right? That's 25 energy plus the few to kill the Marine off.
I guess that's true. Turrets are going up now. You know, for only one Oracle, that seems overdoing it, but it's always going to be able to backstab. And what if there's a second Oracle coming across the map, or Phoenixes later? So it's also going to be good against DTs in a rare case of a DT drop, or Warp Prisms. So
yeah, it can be helpful in various ways. And look, that one Oracle, the fact that it's killed like one SCV so far in a Marine, right? That's all it's killed. So putting up those turrets and ensuring, because he knows it's still out there, but he's ensuring that it's very unlikely to kill much more, and I would say that's worth a couple turrets.
By the way, Artosia is going into Phoenix. It took him a little bit longer, too, because he wanted to get the Forge out first, although he hasn't researched any Forge upgrades.
Yeah, no upgrades yet. But, you know, at least he got his Colossus in range going first, because he's got to get that splash damage. That's probably more important than anything with holding off early aggression.
He's like missing a few things. Like, he also hasn't turned those gateways into warp gates. in his main base. I saw it just a second ago. He might have done it by now. He should have, but
yeah, probably microing around the map.
He did make a forge, right? Like, I'm pretty sure.
He made a forge. Well, he's making a cannon right now, so.
Yeah, I mean, I've been surprised he's not getting any upgrades at all.
Yeah. Well, it's very gas heavy to get Colossus, range Colossus, and Phoenixes all at once, and then not warping only Zealoths. So I'm sure he will get an upgrade start pretty soon. But yeah, that is a beautiful tag.
I just wonder if he thinks he started it. Like he just pressed G on the forge or something, or A on the forge, thinking that he started it. But he just didn't have enough gas, and he just went into something else and thinks it's going, but it's not.
Yeah, because to make a forge to make one cannon feels a little bit weird.
I mean, he's going to want it the longer the game goes on. It doesn't look like he's going to try to hit a timing attack with these Phoenixes. He could, but it's not a very strong build. At least not right now.
Well, as of right now, we do see that Oracle trying to fly in. Some Widow Mine production has started, and if those can catch the Phoenixes, that's pretty fantastic. But a lot of Colossus are being produced as well, so the Widow Mines, we'll see what they can get done. Oh, a second Stargate. Look at that.
This is what he does, man.
It's MyuNgSiK for you, man.
So he already has the lead significantly at 5-0, Phoenix to Viking. So then it takes a second starport to actually deal with this. And I think with 2 Stargates, he will want that second starport.
If you go 2 Stargate Phoenix with your Colossus, you actually have to go 2 Stargate with 2 starport with Reactor Vikings to be able to fight that off. And you have to target down. You have to either decide to lose all your Vikings and just target the Colossus, or to start kiting before the battle begins.
Yeah.
And that's generally the better one right there.
That's the better one. The target the Colossus is if you have a big enough ground army that you can win actually despite the Phoenixes.
Yeah. But generally, I would not suggest that to anyone, because once your Vikings are dead, those Phoenixes, every Phoenix is worth sometimes multiple units.
Yeah. I'm really starting to. I mean, he's spending so much gas that he very rarely has enough for the +1, but he has had several times, like he does right now, enough to research the +1. So
looks like he only cares about these tech units at the moment. And the thing is, when you go to Stargate Phoenixes with Colossi, you generally don't get many upgrades. Like, a lot of times you'll see kind of late game Protoss that has 1-1 on its ground units.
That's what I was expecting. Well, at least to get the +1 attack for all these Colossi that are the core damage dealers of his army.
The +1, I would say, would be worth it.
He's getting +1 for his Phoenixes, right? But like, I think that the Colossi should be getting +1.
You're right. It should be. This is a mistake of some sort. At this point, he definitely has. Did he forget it early on, or a little bit later, or even now? At some point, it was forgotten, because he needs to be getting +1 attack.
Well, he has really been making that forge worth it for cannons, that's for sure. All right, these Phoenixes are out of position, actually, and the Vikings are getting some good volleys off. One Colossus goes down without a hitch.
Yeah, this is very painful, and with all of those Widow Mines coming up, this could actually just be too much damage. He's going to lose his third base. He's lost. Well, I guess he actually keeps that second Colossi a lot.
Those force fields are really, really good, and oh my god, all these Marines. Does he have an observer? No. Oh god, oh god. Oh, those are all on cooldown, thankfully for him.
Okay, well, he's going to make a cannon there, and he's going to be able to take care of everything. He lost. It was only 2 Colossi that he lost, huh?
Yeah, and
so that actually went way better than I thought. At the beginning of it, it looked like it was going to go terribly, right? And at the end of it, it actually turned out fine to lose only 2 Colossus while killing all that off, killing all those Widow Mines. He still has a huge group of Phoenixes. This is pretty good, I would say.
Yeah. Well,
he's making me want to try this style again, which I gave up a long time ago.
I did it a little bit in the beta because it was like the Phoenixes have +1 range more than they used to, so I thought it would be
definitely stronger than it used to be.
When you have 3 bases, you can get the Anion Pulse Crystals too, as you can see him doing here.
I feel like that +1 attack would be better.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth, Artosis. This is the only thing that's missing, because this Terran army is about to have 2-2, and the Phoenixes in the sky, they take up a lot of your supply, and this way heavily upgraded Bioforce on the ground might just rip through without the Vikings' help.
Yeah, well, he is getting +1 armor. Okay, there we go, a second forge. So the problem is he's going to be 4 upgrades behind in just a second here, and 4 upgrades behind is pretty brutal.
That's pretty behind, man.
Like, 4 is the go in the game number, you know? If you get 4 up, oftentimes you can just kill your opponent. But with this very special composition, it's not that time. You know, he can still live. It's like super specialized, you know?
Dealing with the Colossi is difficult, but he does have a good Marauder to Marine ratio for dealing with this. He's been building mostly Marauders. He switched all 6 barracks into Ghost for a second. If he hits EMPs on the Phoenixes just once or twice, then of course the lifts are going to be eliminated, but it's more so about just getting rid of their shields so that if you hit the Phoenixes, anything that shoots up, the Marines are going to rip through those Phoenixes. The Vikings at the back as well. So it's good to have a lot of Ghosts in there.
You know, it's not just that either. If you look at the Viking count, it's gotten gigantic. He's been on those 2 starports for a bit now, making 4 Vikings at a time for quite a while, and that's gigantic. If he just does a little bit of pre-kiting before he engages, you know, just weakens everything up a little bit. Oh man, he's even pulling his SCVs. I feel like he has a pretty good chance to break this, but this is really good positioning from MyuNgSiK.
It's a lot of cannons, too. I mean, that's going to add a little bit of extra damage.
They screw up AI. They definitely do help out quite a bit.
This doesn't really feel like a timing. He started +3 right before he moved out to this, too. You know what I mean? It's a bit odd. Anion Pulse Crystal's not ready yet. Great Time Warp, and the second one just as good.
Money Time Warps here. Those Vikings not actually getting enough done at all.
At all. Now the Colossi with Zealots on the ground to tank just a little bit should be able to defend this.
God, MyuNgSiK is very good at this.
Picks up the Marauders. He's down on upgrades so significantly the bio does kind of break through on the ground for now, but he lost all of his SCVs, and with just a few more weapons of Zealots, he should be fine. And the Phoenixes can go and pick up these Ghosts and kill them.
Man, so painful here for Fantasy. Like, those 2 Time Warps were so insane, and the Vikings just did not quite do their job. You know, like, he kind of kept committing them forward, and the Colossus were running back, and the Time Warps were slowing down the ground units so that they couldn't hurt the Phoenixes, and the Vikings just sat there, and it was like, it was a little bit brutal, man. I feel like you have to kite a little bit more with those Vikings because they do have slightly longer range at least than the Phoenixes, but this is, like, what do you do here as Fantasy? You're just dead, right?
I think so.
You just wait for your Fantasy GG timing, which is, like, probably in 12 minutes.
Well, he's got still, like, pure Marauder Force, but there's just so much AoE here. I mean, I only see, like, 3 Marines in that. It's all Marauders.
Oh, he's just trying to right-click here on the Colossi. These Phoenixes are going to kill off the Vikings so quickly.
He hit an EMP on all the Phoenixes?
Yeah.
But still.
Yeah, I mean, still. He didn't even get to kill. He killed 1 Colossus. There's 4 Colossus left against, like, nothingness. I got to tell you.
+2.
Wolf, MyuNgSiK does this style better than anyone I've ever seen.
He makes it look very viable.
Yeah, he really does. He makes it look like, well, damn, why don't more of us play like this? And you know what, maybe in the future people will.
GG. To be honest, I feel like this style is a style that you can play on the ladder, like in like Diamond League, if you're like not good at control and multitasking. And I feel like if you extend that into where we are now, like if you're not a player who likes to play with Psystorm and High Templar, and you don't really like to do Zealot Warp and Harassment all over the map, then playing this Phoenix style it suits you well because it's really a style that doesn't require a ton of micromanagement.
Yeah, you are sitting back making a death ball.
Yeah.
There's no question about that. And like it's so chock full of cannons and defensive things that are long range.
You're not like
it's for sure not involving a lot of micro.
You're not really harassing, you're not really moving around on the map. You're not I mean, you're not really committed to doing anything except like actually making cannons at the top of your ramp and making these Phoenixes, as we saw. Oh, I don't think he can use this style even one more time in this best of 3, though.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
Okay. I
think Fantasy is just going to make his second starport faster. He's going to pressure a little more, get Ghosts out earlier.
Fantasy was looking very good there for a while. At the end of the day, you know, MyuNgSiK killed him with those amazing Time Warps.
You think he's figured it out well enough to actually do it again?
You mean like has Fantasy figured out?
No, I mean like does MyuNgSiK like know this build so well that he's like just going to do it again in this best of 3?
On Merry-Go-Round, I think there's a very good chance that he might because you know Merry-Go-Round is a map where there's this huge area that can be dropped that is so far away from the third base that you literally just can't get back. Your whole main will be dead. So I think he might go for it.
Well, let's find out. One more win from MyuNgSiK will drop him into the winner's match, and a loss will bring Fantasy into that loser's match here at the GSL Code A.